Welcome to Laurie Maves Art, live intuitive painting. In a little bit, I'm going to be approaching this big shape painting behind me. So, most times when I do a live stream from my studio, it's either a Creative Journeys interview or it's about live painting. And so, hi. So today I'm going to do two things. So if you want to watch the live painting segment, that's going to be happening in about 20 minutes or so, 15, 20 minutes. The first part of today's video, hello, Robertians. The first part of today's video, today's live stream is about starting a creative practice in your sketchbook. So I'm going to talk about that for about the first 15, 20 minutes. So if you want to hang around and listen to me go through that. Hey, Camilla Lamar, thanks for joining. I'm going to begin this live stream with talking about getting started in your sketchbook practice. Hopefully this will inspire you to join me. I'm leading a sketchbook workshop on Saturday, April 11th over at a Little Twisted Yoga Studio, which is located here in Palmetto, Florida, where I live. It's going to be a 2-hour workshop, Introduction to Art Therapy via using a sketchbook. So the first 20 minutes today, I'm going to talk about how to get you started. I'm going to talk about some of the things I'm going to talk about in the workshop and really just kind of demystify the sketchbook process. So let's just get started with that. Okay. So what a sketchbook is not. And I don't mean a sketchbook for an artist. A lot of artists obviously use sketchbooks when they're out in public. Maybe they do, or they out in nature and they do sketching of the landscape. Or you think about sketching figures, or maybe artists use sketchbook as sketching, drawing up ideas for future paintings. That's not the kind of sketchbook that I am talking about here. What I am encouraging people to do is to take up a sketchbook practice as a form of art therapy. So, and what I keep talking about is how you can use a sketchbook as a sanctuary in your day to day process. Hi, Annetta. Thanks for joining. So, a sketchbook works similarly to a journal, right? You use a sketchbook, you can write in it if you want, but you can also draw on it. And the difference for me has always been is that when you use a sketchbook for both, you can 100% use it as a journal and do some free writing or talk about where you are or talk about your thoughts, feelings, and emotions or talking about what's happening to you in your life. Wonderful. But what an amazing thing when you can add color, when you can add shapes, when you can add words, when you can add lines, when you can add artwork, doodling. All these things just add another dimension about your own self-discovery process. And that's my aim, and that's what I'd like to help people to do is get connected to that creative part of yourself. And you don't have to be an artist to do so. The amazing thing I found about Substack is that there are a whole host of people already on the platform that are using a daily sketchbook practice. And their artwork's all over the place. Sometimes it's ugly art, sometimes it's gratitude art, sometimes it's just doodling, sometimes it's continuous lines, sometimes it's collage. There is really an unlimited way you can use your sketchbook. And when you sign and date, you don't have to sign and date, but what I found over time is when I date the pages, I can always go back and look in time and see what I was thinking about on any given day. Karma's a cat. Thank you. I've just realized I don't need a different book for everything. You don't need a different book for everything. Yeah, you can have it all in one book. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to show you some other sketchbooks that I've started, sketchbooks that I've finished, which I realized through Substack and through a daily sketchbook practice, I had many sketchbooks that I had started and kind of put away or I didn't know where to do with them. And it actually encouraged me. I found a sketchbook that I started in 2020. I'm going to share that with you. And I need to finish that book. So again, Karma is a cat, 100%. A good girlfriend of mine just gave me this tiny little Frida journal. It's so sweet. She got it in Mexico when she was there. And there's just tiny little brown pages, right? I can use it for sketching. I can use it for writing. But what I did with this first page is I'm going to prep some pages in here. I'm going to talk about that because prepping pages with some acrylic paint or watercolor paint, collage materials, or just some mark making can really help people get over that fear or get over that block of starting with a blank page, which I hear from so many people. I have these pretty pristine books and I don't want to mess them up. The whole point of this book is to be used. The whole point of these books is for you to dump whatever you want to dump into them. The point is for you to have another tool in your toolkit for a way to express yourself in healthy and meaningful ways. And sometimes it might not mean anything at all to you. But the point is, if you have a book that you can turn to put your thoughts, feelings, and emotions in, to write about whatever you're pissed about, to write about whatever you're grateful for, it's a wonderful way just to record your life story, which is really fucking important. Don't let anyone tell you it's not important to share your story because it is. So, again, before we get to actual sketchbook work, before I get to live painting, one thing I want to show you was that book I made during COVID. Another great idea for a sketchbook is, of course, you can go out and buy these black bound books. You can find them at Michael's. They're not very expensive. You can find them online. I love these hard case books because they're sturdy enough. You can collage on the front if you want. This one I've used so much, it has kind of gotten worn off, but I used it for so many things and I filled it all the way up. One thing I do want to show you is that if you're scared to make anything or you want to make it perfect, this is what I'm going to be encouraging you in the next 30 days, starting on April 11th. Let me say this again. Starting on Saturday, April 11th, I'm leading a Sketchbook as Sanctuaries workshop over at a little Twisted Yoga studio here in Palmetto, Florida, where I live. In that 2-hour workshop, it's going to be an introduction to art therapy, and we're going to talk about a number of prompts, a number of ways to use a sketchbook, and a number of thoughts, a number of ideas that you can use in your sketchbook. One, you could do a 30-day ugly sketchbook, which I had a 30-day prompt of ugly images. So it was so fun because I didn't have to make anything pretty. I just started drawing faces that looked like they were gritting and growling. I made a lot of stick figures. Um, I did like, oh my gosh, look, there's an ugly spider. I did crazy characters. I didn't care. I don't care. The whole point is just to get your hand moving and to create something. This was funny. It says, have a nice day. Looks like the guy smoked a bunch of weed or something. This looks kind of like a crazy person. But when you approach your sketchbook on a daily process, one, you give yourself some time for you time. It can be 5 minutes, it can be 5 hours. It's whatever you want to sink into your sketchbook, right? But it doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be perfect. Another thing that I'm going to talk about in the workshop this weekend is this encapsulation process, which I have started to do. I probably should trademark it, but who cares? It's here for you. And I want to share my processes with you to help everybody feel better, or at least help people get connected to tools that can help them when they're having a difficult time. So the encapsulation, oh, look at this. That was one of my 30 days of ugly as well. So really quickly here, to do an encapsulation painting, what I have been doing is just taking the blank page, because if that's intimidating for people, I'm putting a layer of acrylic paint down. I'll be showing that soon. And then I start making shapes in there. A simple approach to a sketchbook. Back to this. This is a coffee table book that I found in a thrift store, but you can go to bookstores and go to their clearance section and look for large coffee table books. This coffee table book was called The Story Behind the Painting, which I thought was fun. So what I did with this is I made it my sketchbook during COVID. And I took this book because it was an art book, and I started gessoing on the pages and put my own paintings. And I did some mandalas. Mandalas are circular art forms. Anybody can do it. You start with a circle in the center, you work out work out to the edges of the page of the paper. So I did some mandalas. This obviously, who knows what this was about. But what's also nice about working in a book that already has a background is you can save some components. And if you want, you can gesso over every page. Gesso is basically just like Kills. It's like, if you know the product Kills, it's like a white primer page and you just paint it over the page. It's a little time consuming because you have to paint a page and let it dry. But this, I saved this element of this Filippo, who is this? Filippo Lippi, a beautiful Italian Renaissance painter. And then I was drawing on the other page. So this is, I've prepped a number. Here's a Modigliani. I painted my own on this side, saved this one from the book. So it's, and then I just gessoed these other pages. So you're right. This book I need to get to and to finish. There's about 20 pages left in this book. And I believe I did take out a number of them. Like I cut them out of the center because the book was going to be too thick. But again, it's just another way you can work big if you want to work big. Or like again with this Frida one, you can work small, something tiny, something you fit in your back pocket. Okay, so now it's time to, I'm going to flip the camera around and I'm going to show you this encapsulation process, how simple it is, how easy it is, and how you don't have to have a lot of materials and you don't have to have a plan. I love the idea of saving things from landfill as well, wherever you can save them from. Sometimes I find my neighbors are getting rid of a bunch of books and, hi, Tanya Kelsey Art. Thanks for joining. Sometimes my neighbors are getting rid of stuff. You can go to book sales. You can go to thrift stores. Thrift stores, honestly, are one of the greatest places you can find all shapes and sizes of books. And if you don't have a thrift store, or maybe you have some old books that you know you're never going to read again, and they're getting dusty on the shelf. I know some people might be that sacrilege to change or alter a book, but if it's not being used, then why don't you give the book a new life? Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera around. 1 second. And after this little demo, then I'm going to paint live on this big painting behind me. Let's see here. Okay, I think you can see. Fairly well. Fairly well. Okay. So this is a page. There we go. I've got lots of things in here. I've used lots of oil pastel where I write ideas down first, and then I've been drawing over it. So most in this book I started a couple months ago, and this one says love yourself first. This one was just a bunch of ideas, and I just used some oil pastel, art about judgment. This one I did with Netta Faye. We did art as a portal workshop together live on Substack. This was one I did from another online class. So you can see there's all kinds of ways and images you can make in a sketchbook. It doesn't really matter. So for today, I've started, I know the blank page, if it's intimidating for you, don't worry about it. All you have to do is get some acrylic paint. You can get craft paint. You can use watercolors. You can use tempera paint. You can use gouache. You can use house paint, but just put a thin layer down, and then you don't have a blank page staring you in the face, right? I like metallics because for me they're fun. This is just again a craft paint. Whoop-de-doo. And I've done it in other pages too. This is the sketchbook I'm taking with me to Sardinia when I'm leading my retreat in a couple weeks. And I've pre-prepped a couple pages. Let me show you because I don't know. Maybe I'll get over there and I don't know where to start. So I've just put some color down. Some is oil pastel and some is paint, but they're just ways to get started if I'm over there and I feel like I need an idea. So whenever I have any extra acrylic paint, I just put it on a palette knife, which is something like this. They're wood and metal. They also come in plastic. You can also just use a plastic knife. You can use a brush and just laying some color down. Here I left some blank pages, but I had some extra silver, so I prepped this page. So now that we have a place to start, you can grab any drawing tool that you happen to have on hand. Just want to make sure this is all dry because I did it right before the live stream started. Since I've been in an oil pastel kick, I'm going to use oil pastels. This is my box of oil pastels. Artist Loft is a brand by Michaels, that art store. They're okay, pretty student grade. Pentel is another great oil pastel, also student grade, but beautiful colors. A little bit higher end is this Faber-Castell brand. What I like to do is just put all my oil pastels in a box that I can get to them readily. Another great tool to have is a China marker because these work really well on top of oil pastels. So I have my color started and I'm going to do what I call my encapsulation. So I'm going to pick a color. What color is speaking to me today? This red is speaking to me, so I'm going to grab it. I'm not concerned about perfection. I'm not concerned about making something pretty. I'm just focused on getting going. Hi, my cat wants to go outside. Let's see. Okay, excuse me. Let me let him out. Go on. Here you go. That's Marcello. Okay. So with encapsulation, as again, it's just something I started. A friend of mine told me that's what she thought it should be called. It's what I'm doing. It's just making shapes out of what you have. This one I did earlier. I'm doing a YouTube video on it. It's very simple. I also wrote ideas. I don't know where to go from here. I wish I could share this joy with you. Please begin a creative journey. It can only help you to heal and grow. That was a gold. So with my oil pastel, I'm just going to start making some shapes. Maybe I follow the shapes that I see here that are already existing from the paint palette. But this just takes any pressure off of having to know where to start. You just get going. You just pick a color and you don't care about how good, you don't care what it's supposed to say. You're just making marks. And why is this important? Because mark making, gentle, repetitive mark making, is calm and soothing to the nervous system, which is why I paint shapes. And that's why I'm going to be painting shapes in about 5 minutes up on the big canvas behind me. Okay, I was done with red, so I'm going to pick up a pink. And again, guys, this isn't about creating perfection. It's not about making something pretty. This is not going to be, well, I guess it could be, but in my mind, this is not going to be a sketch for an upcoming painting. This is just a way for me to be creative here with you and to share with you how simple it is to get going. You can count the shapes while you're making them. That provides for a super meditative activity. But it's really kind of, I'll do that over on the painting. It's hard for me to explain this process and count with you at the same time. Let's pick one more color, shall we? Here's a nice turquoise. So all I'm doing, really simple, right? Anybody can make shapes. I might come back here and fill some in with some lines. Again, I just want to keep my hand moving. I want to be free in my process. I don't want to edit it. I just want to keep going. What's also great is that you get to kind of silence your inner critic in this process. You just get to create like the creator, like the creative source. And you can just keep building and growing the image. I showed you guys earlier this China marker. It's wonderful to use with oil pastel. This is actually part of a yellow China marker. But with this, it's got a nice waxy surface and it works really well in conjunction with oil pastels and on top of acrylics. So I can just keep going with this until I fill up the whole image. Again, this might not be about anything. Maybe I want to start writing this day I'm not sure about. I'm not sure about really anything, but I'm trying to really focus on my positive attitude lately. There's been a number of things that have happened in my life, and I realized I was getting frustrated about things not going in a certain way. So I'm really trying in my personal practice to approach each day with a light heart and a higher vibration. Whoop de doo. It's nothing really impressive, but it's not here to be beautiful. It's not here to make a statement of any kind necessarily. It's just a way for me to be creative. Hi, Hugh. Hi, Namita. Thanks for joining. Oh, I really appreciate you guys. Camilla, thanks for being here. Do you guys have any other questions? So that's basically my demo for how to get started with a sketchbook practice with encapsulation. If you guys want to join me here on Substack, or it'll probably also surface through my YouTube channel, which is Laurie Maves Art. I would like you really be appreciative if you would subscribe to both. You can free subscribe. If you choose to be a paid subscriber, there are wonderful benefits from being a paid subscriber. You get, I'll mail you an original Laurie Maves 8x10 artwork on paper, and you also get a 1 hour art coaching session virtually via Zoom. The cat wants to come in. Come on. So on this Saturday, again, I'm starting the sketchbook workshop. If you want to join me via Substack or via YouTube, I'm going to offer a daily prompt. And it might be as simple as start with a painted background and make shapes. I'm probably going to have a continuous line prompt. There might be use the color red prompt. There might be try a different material that you never had. There might be a collage prompt. There might be what is perfection. There might be written prompts with ideas and thoughts, and that you're going to take this written prompt and turn it into a visual prompt. But I'm telling you, I don't know anybody who has started a sketchbook practice and then said they felt worse. It's really a way for you to practice getting over your perfectionism. It's a way to practice getting in touch with your thoughts and feelings. It's a practice that helps you get connected to your creative side. And our creative side helps with problem solving. It helps us with feeling emotional regulation. Our creative side helps us use different parts of our brain It helps the brain active, especially with women later in life when they go through menopause. And a lot of women might be going through empty nest syndrome, or they might just be kind of going through a time of fog where they don't really know where their life is heading. I'm trying to encourage those women that a sketchbook practice could be a really valuable tool for you to get connected to these parts of your life that you might feel disconnected. Maybe you've always wanted to be creative. Maybe you've always wanted to paint. And you just don't know where to start. Sketchbook is a wonderful, simple, easy way to do that. Even if you just got a little book like this, they have these little books, not with necessarily a collage image on the front, but they have these little books at the dollar store. They're like $1, $1.50, and yeah, they're cheap and the pages are thin, but you can still use it as a way to start just doodling or drawing. But if you follow my page and if you follow my prompts, I'm encouraging people to share their daily prompts and tag me, and we'll put them all on one page. And you just got to get over that hump of getting started. Okay, I went 10 minutes over on that. Let's move to painting. Today is a 2-for-1. So over here, my apologies. Let me get this camera hold set up. I have this really large shape painting that I've been working on, and I stopped working on it for a couple of days because my son was in town. So I hung out with him Easter weekend. And then actually, my husband and I am laughing, but we're finishing up a 5-day fast. We like to do a fast every 6 months or so just to kind of clean our bodies out and do a reset of our metabolism and blah, 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 blah. This is not that kind of health and wellness channel, but I've been really tired. So today's like one of the last days of that. We've just been drinking coffee, tea, and water. If it's something that you're curious about, I'm saying it's not that hard. I mean, the first couple days is, but if you wanted to try a 3 to 5 day fast, it is really possible. I've done it twice this year. Blah. Okay. So this is my giant shape painting, and we're going to move into the live painting segment. A lot of my live feeds, live streams lately have been about painting for calming. And there's a huge painting behind me that is a huge landscape painting. You guys, a lot of you joined me for that. It's back there. I haven't taken it down yet. It's been drying and curing because it's all oil paint. But I'm almost ready to take it down just because I need the wall for other projects. So this large shape painting, I believe to date has, let's see, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 400, 500, 600, 700, 3,000, 500 and some shapes, and it probably more like closer to 4,000 shapes. The big shape painting, landscape painting had 10,000, 10,000. I think 301 was where it ended up at. So painting shapes for calming is another kind of tool, another skill set I like to offer people is just painting shapes. So because I haven't painted this on a while, most of the surface is pretty dry. I'm going to be adding some oil paint here. This is my traditional palette. I use white oil paint. I've got a yellow, I've got a light green, and a phthalo turquoise here, and I've thinned it down with some solvent-free fluid. And to speed drying times, I use some liquid original. I also put in some of Gamsol paint thinner, which I keep in this little jar here. It's really hard when I leave, when I kind of stop working on a painting and come back to it. sometimes it's hard for me to get started again. So you guys are you might experience that here. I might start up in this corner. I had some white shapes here and most of them have gone away. So I'm going to go over them. And then I'm going to add some more white down here, white shapes. But if you hear me counting, that's the deal. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. The interesting thing about painting in this way is, again, I don't have a plan. I'm just kind of looking and seeing and having the painting talk, having the painting have a conversation with me, and just sitting with it. What wants to happen? This wants a little more white. I'm going to fill in a couple shapes here with a little bit of white. Hmm. And I really just approach it in a way that I just kind of listen about what the painting wants. And it is funny. I don't know if that is your intuition. I basically consider myself an intuitive painter. I'm not copying scenes, and I don't necessarily know where this painting is going to go. But just as I started that, I heard in my head, it would be nice if you had white go all the way to the bottom. So I'm adding some white in here. And what I notice that tends to do is it connects the upper part of the painting with the lower part of the painting. Yeah, so now there's this nice kind of visual connection of white, even if it's subtle. From the bottom here up through the top here. And if it turns out after the live stream is done that I don't like it, what the beautiful part of a painting practice is you can always change it. You're never too old to start painting. I actually mentor a gentleman here in Sarasota. Sarasota is the next town. Well, there's Bradenton and then Sarasota. Um, his name is, he calls himself Mr. Lucky. I mentor a gentleman who started painting in retirement, and he is really loving the painting process. He started really more as doing paint pours. If you don't know about a paint pour, look it up. It is not brush painting, but it is its own craft, poured paintings. And there are a number of pour painting artists in the Sarasota area. I've never been a poured painter myself. I'm always a brush painter. But I've been working with him because he's developing his brush painting skills. And I can do that too for you too if you're interested in that. Okay, so what we're going to do is try to connect the top of the painting with the bottom of the painting with those little white highlights I put in there. So I'm getting down here, and since I'm adding more shapes, I'm going to start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this is just like the sketchbook, right? I'm just putting shapes, filling up where the painting wants to be filled up. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Now I like how that's kind of disappearing there. 33, 34, 35, 36. So 37. It's okay. I'm just going to keep painting. But if I want to blend it out, I can take a big brush and just soften it. 38, 39, 40, 41. You know, my aim is a little bit to be like Bob Ross because I remember watching him as a kid and it was so relaxing. I'm still at 41. It was so relaxing watching him paint. I wonder how many people were watching him paint versus how many people tried to paint with him. But painting can be calming for you too, not just watching it, but to do it. 41 I was on, correct? 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46. Grab some of this green. 47, 48, 49, 50, 51. Oh, I like that green. 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. Hmm. I like how that's fading out there. 59. Oops. Oh gosh, there's so many more comments. I am so sorry. My thing was frozen. Kim, thanks for joining. Excellent inspiration. Oh, thank you. Oh, awesome. Bob Ross seemed to paint the same scenic landscapes over and over. He did. Oh my gosh, I just was at 46. He did. Um, and actually, he was not an intuitive painter in that process because he always or most often had um, the painting in the background where he was working from and it was off camera. So he knew where that painting was going. This, on the other hand, I don't know where it's going. And even though that might be a little scary, you just have to have faith that it'll turn out into something that you like. And guess what? If you don't like it with painting, what can you do? You can always paint over it. 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55. I like that green. 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75. I'm a little bit running out of steam here, guys. I think it's the fast. 77, 78, 79. I'll get to 100. 80, 81, 82. I really like the way this is going. 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. We're going to stop there. I didn't do a lot, guys. I think I'm going to take this light green and bring it back through here. But I said at the beginning of the video, I'm on like day 4 of a 5-day fast and I don't have a ton of energy. So you might be like, Laurie, why would you do that? Well, because there's a lot of research that shows the health benefits of a fast if you're a candidate for one. It helps you scrub out your insides. It reduces inflammation. It gives you a metabolic reset, all that stuff. But I'm not qualified to talk to you about that. I'm a wildlife realist kind of painter. Oh, Kim, I'd love to see your work. Realist painters always astound me. I've done some semi-realism paintings, but a lot of times I don't have the patience for it. So I really admire the people who have the patience for that. There's one other comment here I want to get to. Enjoying. I love what I see. I have to get more abstract and surreal in my work if not enjoying what I'm doing anymore. So I find your approach excellent. Maybe I can keep a sketchbook. You absolutely can, Kim. Keep a sketchbook and just make ugly abstract art that doesn't look like anything. You might find it to be super freeing. Okay. Well, at the end of my live streams, I like to take you up close to the painting so you can see what was worked on. I had 100 shapes, so now I'm like at 3,600. Freeing, yeah, super freeing. Kim, you might like this. This is this big super. It's a landscape made with shapes. But this is the current painting I'm working on. It has lots of turquoise blues, yellows, bronze, and golds. And so far, there are like 3,600 shapes in this painting. This is the segment I just did now. Usually I do a lot more in live streams, but today I did the sketchbook first and did the painting second. So I'm going to end the video here today. That's 45 minutes. That's a long time. But thanks for you. If you guys have stuck with me the whole time. I really, again, will encourage you to start the Sketchbooks, the Sanctuary process with me. It's a 30-day sketchbook challenge. I'm going to be posting on Substack and also on my YouTube page. And I'll be giving daily prompts, more than likely through shorts, through YouTube shorts. You'll see the prompt and you'll see what I came up with in about 15 to 30 seconds. That's all I'm going to have. But if you need help, you don't have to follow the prompts. If you just want to work on something every day and then share that with me and share it with people who could use some help in starting a creative process, that would be awesome. Bird hanging. Kind of reminds me of an Narnia and goats, bird hanging on a branch. Oh, cool. All right. Ciao for now, guys. Thanks for tuning in. May you have a blessed week and may you find some sanctuary in your sketchbook. All right. Ciao for now.